Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition on Dante Must Die difficulty. And we have the hardcore modifier on, as well as turbo mode. And we are going through the campaign without using items. So in this alleyway here is where the chapter, or the mission starts. And we have a pretty dense mob of the Stygians. Looks like maybe 4 and 4. I don't know how many that I've killed so far, but they shouldn't prevent you with too much of a problem. And after this fight, you secure a checkpoint. And I found that strange when I was first doing this, because it's a simple fight, and you wouldn't think that your progress would need to be saved that early into a gauntlet. But it turns out that it's not really a gauntlet, because what's coming up is just the start of, I think it's just a two-way fight. It's a butcher and something else. And I was calling these enemies tyrants, and I was confusing them. Like the enemy that's coming up, I was calling it a tyrant when its name is a butcher. So I apologize about that, and I've looked all the enemy names up so that I now know what they're called. In fact, I remember what's coming up. I believe we have some knights coming up after the butcher. I think an assortment of them. So this game is sort of like the same as, let me see here. Okay, so parry his projectile at first, and then come over to him, and usually, like when he's doing his charge, he's winding up his chain, his circular blades, and he's completely vulnerable. And you just kind of have to synchronize with this guy as best as you can, and realize that there has to be a point at which you back off from your attacks and try to do the demon evade. But it looks like we have that assortment of knights that I just mentioned. So we've got the Hell Knight that we're hitting right now. Or excuse me, no, he's the Death Knight. I'm sorry about that. It's easy to it should be easy to remember, because the red one is called the Hell Knight, the blue is the Frost Knight, and the one that's that light brown color, he's the Death Knight. Oh, what am I talking about? There is no fucking Frost Knight here. I'm so sorry, you guys. You think you know everything, And I never do think I know everything, but you get complacent and you think that what you know is the right thing. So this isn't too bad here. And it is nice to have that checkpoint before the butcher. So that fight's done. And then we'll go up here, do some platforming. No collectibles here to speak of. I do have my item finder on, because there was one item that I missed on my other playthroughs, and it was a soul. So we'll be picking that up on this playthrough. And I think we have a Dream Runner coming up. There is another iteration of the Dream Runner called the Drekavac, it's a blue one, like the same kind of humanoid kind of enemy. It's blue in aspect. It does the same kind of swordsmanship moves, and it teleports. But I think it has to be. It's in a higher class of an enemy, so it's probably got more HP, or it wounds you more. So look at this, another butcher, but this time he's accompanied by these Stygians here. So we're gonna have to watch out what we do. I believe there's some health pickups over here. I personally don't feel like if anyone's gonna come at me and say, well, you say you're not using items, but you are getting the health pods. That's just bullshit, because it's the same thing as getting health from enemies. I mean, you can control it. Obviously, you can control not smashing health pods, and you can. What in the fuck am I saying? My mind is on this fight here, so let's just forget what I was trying to say there, because obviously you can control what you smashing, but you can't control what's coming into you from health drops from fallen enemies. If you're having trouble smashing those, one tip that I have for you is to stand under it and just launch yourself up in the air with the B button, and he'll do an uppercut, and it'll slash the health pod. It can kind of be some time-saving advice for you, particularly when you keep jumping and trying to hit it and it just doesn't work. So, using the charged Eric's attacks on the Dream Runner is not the only thing you can do. You can also use the Rebellion's overdrive, and you can use the Rebellion's charged shot if you want to. You could also use the Kablui's charged attack, but this guy deflects everything unless he's not guarding. So you're gonna have to open him up, find an opening, and I just think that the charged Eric's works best to do that. Now, if you have the Demon Evade going for yourself, you don't need to do the charge. You can just hit him and it'll break his guard, which is nice. So, I don't fear this enemy anymore. Excuse me. I don't hate him, but I like fighting him now. It's kind of similar to the, what are those ones called in God of War? Those beasts with the really cool weapon. Oh, man, the fuck are they called? We all know what they're called. I mean, we all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I woke up this morning and I saw a couple of news articles that they're remastering God of War 3 for the PS4, and it's coming out in July. Isn't it June? I mean, I think June actually. So my summer just got a whole lot better. And I think it's pretty clear as day what they're trying to do. They're trying to clear the way for God of War 4, familiarize everybody with the franchise again, bring a new audience in, maybe the Xbox people, and give us I mean, I played the game so many fucking times that I'm not that excited for it, but maybe it'll have some new content, some new modes. Doubtful, but it's kind of like this game. It's refreshing that, you know, when the community's playing it again, and hopefully it has something different to it. I mean, rather than just upscaling. But that game looked gorgeous to begin with, so I don't think they can make it look that much better. But who knows? Who really knows? I don't know for certain. So I will cover that game. Definitely, I'll cover that game again. So, in what capacity, you might be wondering? Maybe a Pain Plus run. Maybe not, though. Maybe a Pain run. They also, see, a couple of the souls they moved. There was one in that room that we were just in, and it was on a really high ledge, and you would have to latch onto enemies who were devil triggered, who were launched during the devil trigger, or using the enemy step off the enemies. And it's gone now. I looked, and it's clearly gone when I first did my run on the normal difficulty, or whatever you start on. I don't think this fight's too bad. But I think the most inconsiderate, it's not a collectible, but like a health cross that you're supposed to pick up is on Virgil's campaign, and it's in chapter 5. And it's on a high ledge that's completely out of view unless you're looking up there. And you have to enemy step off, like do repeated enemy steps off like these enemies here as Virgil. And I think they've taken that one out and put it somewhere else. Because I looked in the changelog, and it just seemed like the perfect kind of thing that they would change, because just knowing that it's there, how can you not think that that's bullshit? Because it really was. I mean, I never thought I would get it. It's pretty horribly, it's just really, they tease you really bad with that one. If you even want to call it teasing, because it's not really even broadcast too much. So, I remember doing this fight. This was a fun engagement. So, this is a really safe method to dealing with these enemies. Just realize you're not going to accrue style points repeating moves. But you can win. That's usually what I'd like to do. With the changes that they've done to the style system, so that the decay rate of the styles is much quicker now, meaning that you can't vacillate much anymore. You have to keep on your feet, keep doing different combos, keep juggling enemies, keep your combo going with the gun. But the way it is now, I really don't even care about the combo, just because it's maintaining it's such a struggle now. If it were a little more flexible, then I would like to participate in it, but it's not mandatory, and I'm just here to win and guide you to winning too. So it is I would say it's a part of winning, but it's not everything. I mean, it is what the game is founded on, but it's just not crucial to winning though, I don't feel. So we've got a couple of these rage spawns down here, and remember what I said, keep them off the camera, and remember that the one who's left will try to do that spin at you, which is really fast, this one here, so you might want to use your devil trigger. Okay, and then when these enemies are dispatched here, I think then the area that's coming up next is referred to in the changelog as the maze. So if you're looking for collectibles over here, you want to be very careful that you don't go to the divinity statue and go beyond the threshold of the door next to it, because if you do, this part will be sealed off to you, and you cannot go back here unless you restart the mission. So this was the only lost soul that I needed in this chapter. And the item finder, if you're wondering about should you buy the item finder, I would just buy it for completionist purpose, but it's pretty shitty. I mean, it's such a faint beeping sound that sometimes I have to take the music volume off and just put the sound effects on to be able to hear it. Surprisingly, there's only 2 options for the audio, which are the 2 options being the music and the sound effects. There's no voice options. So we're going to come down here. Now this is the area, so you just don't want to come down here too much, and then we'll do the next chapter. Oh, the next chapter, it's still a continuing chapter. Okay, I remember this. It's just a minor fight. Actually, the lost soul might be in this room. Yeah, it's in this room. It wasn't earlier where I said it was. It's really high up on this ledge when you go in this room here. Now I remember. So we've got a trio of these enemies here. Just remember, if you parry their attack with your blade or the other weapons, you can parry with the other weapons. You can freeze them. I think that's what happened here, although I wasn't looking in the upper right to see if I got a parry there, or if this guy got froze from collateral damage. So he's going to expire. And we've got another Dream Runner to deal with. Okay, so you definitely want to take that Butcher out before, because I think his spawn is dictated by if one enemy gets killed, then he comes in. I think that's the logic system in play here. So just keep the camera off him as much as you can. He does like to sneak onto the screen, but there's a couple of health pods here for you, and certainly use your devil trigger, because if you're at the end of the level, and you just want to use your devil trigger, go for it, because it doesn't carry over to the next level. So the only real risk is a fight that, if you're really struggling on, would be the first fight in the level, because obviously you don't have any devil trigger unless you're using items. Then you'll be fine, but usually the first fight of a level is not its hardest fight. Take care.